This is gender affirming care, by the way. Something tells me he calls trans people mentally ill for. Wait, what is this here?
Bro can't read.
A hair transplant. We got to really think about getting this done maybe this year. I'm thinking about we do it. So this is another trans person that thinks a man getting a hair transplant is somehow the same as cutting their dick off. Yeah, it's not. The difference is because you're not actually a man, but I am.
That's true.
A trans woman who gets a bottom surgery is not actually a man. Asmongold based is Pride Month, baby.
That's why I have bottom surgery where my pee-pee is being inverted and you don't. That's, I mean, it's still gender affirming care, just so you know, right? Like, you're correct, but both are gender affirming care.
So it would logically make sense that I could get a hair transplant because I am affirming my gender that I am, rather than trying to be a gender that you're not.
You're just describing gender affirming care while saying that, like, I am not correct because, you know, transphobia. Like you just said, you just confirmed that this is gender affirming care. Trans people getting gender affirming care to affirm their gender is the same as cis people getting gender affirming care and affirming their gender. Just because it's, you know, a different sex or whatnot doesn't mean that it's somehow something else, because trans men are men and trans women are women, and we affirm our gender as men or women, right? Just like cis people. It's the same
It's actually really simple.
It is. You just gotta use your brain a little bit and stop doing like mental gymnastics. It is so much harder to be transphobic and to completely like hijack the conversation, make it about something that is not, than to just accept the truth that we are the gender that we say that we are.
I don't even, like, duh. Like, it's just really, like, I don't even know what to think.
It's not complicated. To be like, yes, cis people also do certain things in order to affirm their gender. A cis boy with gynecomastia, with a hormonal imbalance that gives them breast tissue, getting a double mastectomy because boys shouldn't have breast tissue, is the same as trans men getting a double mastectomy because men aren't supposed to have this breast tissue there. It's the same care. It's not somehow like something else, something special or whatnot just because trans people are doing it. All of the care that trans people are getting has already been in place for cis people. And the body is so fucking fascinating, right? If you are assigned male at birth and you don't go through male puberty because your testosterone is blocked, and instead you go through female puberty, you're going to see changes that are more aligned with somebody who is AFAB. Gender affirming care works. That is something that transphobes refuse to understand. And your body, your endocrine system is just going to be like, okay, we have higher estrogen, so we are going to do girl now. It's just a natural thing that just like happens when you have more estrogen in your body. And trans people can use this. We can use certain things in order to get changes that more align with our gender identity. And it makes us more comfortable in our bodies. And if we go through the wrong puberty, if we go through the wrong changes, it causes distress. It's dysphoria, but it's also something that like cis people experience when they have changes that do not align with their gender identity. It is the same thing. The reason why gender affirming care and so on works is because nature just does things. It just does these things. It's not going to be like, oh no, you have XX chromosomes, so we can't give you changes that align with like testosterone. And transphobes going, nah, that's mutilation or whatnot. It's not based in science. It's not based in reality. It's just dumbass shit. It's cruelty. And it's using hatred, ignorance, and fear and whatnot as a justification to take away healthcare that literally provably works. And Asmongold knows this. There's going to be a segment where he's going to be like, oh yeah, women get hair transplants too. And it's like, yeah, It's still gender affirming care.
Get on TRT, man. Plus balding women get it too. Yeah, and also women do get hair transplants.
And now he does like the thing where he goes on Grok in order to prove that like, yes, women do get like hair transplants. But like the thing is like in society, in this heavily gendered society, you have certain things that are being gendered, right? And your hairline is also gendered, right? Like for men, you have more like a, you know, a straight hairline, right? Like these are all of the pictures. And for women, it's more like, you know, the oval shape, right? It's, you know, more feminine. It's also very like European, like Central European beauty standards and expectations and so on. But sometimes someone who is female can have a hairline that is like this. Sometimes somebody who is male can have a hairline that is more like this. And if you are a trans woman and you happen to have like a hairline like this and you want to get gender affirming care, you want to get like a more stereotypical feminine hairline and you get something like this, that is gender affirming care. And it doesn't matter if it's like a trans woman doing it or a cis woman doing it. And if you want to have like a more like masculine hairline and whatnot, right? If you want to combat male pattern baldness and so on, like that is still gender affirming care. These are also like they're cosmetic things, but they make you feel more comfortable in your body. And the thing is like, because trans women, trans people in general, but like trans women, you know, are like so heavily in the spotlight that like our appearance is constantly being hyper-analyzed, scrutinized, demonized, and so on. We are constantly attacked for it. And we, there are certain things that like cis women have as well, but like it turns into an attack point. And if trans women do not meet these like extreme beauty expectations and so on, it can cause a lot of self-esteem issues. And then we get care like this in order to escape this a little bit, escape the attack points, right? Like cis women can have facial hair as well. Cis women can have visible Adam's apples as well, but it is being turned as like an attack point when it comes to trans people. So it causes a lot of like mental health issues, a lot of like self-esteem issues, self-worth, and so on. And then we get care, we get treatment to fix these things. We are still being invalidated and so on, but it's just making us feel a little bit less horrible. It's making us feel a little bit better about ourselves, a little bit more comfortable in our body. And cis women also do certain things in order to feel more comfortable in their body. That doesn't mean that it's suddenly not gender affirming care just because it's a cis person doing it. Anyways, let me skip through the grok part because like it's just stupid.
And also this is another thing is that men also get breast reduction.
Yeah, that's still gender affirming care, you dummy. Like that's what I mean. Like transphobes are always like so close to like understanding it, but because of their hatred not allowing them to actually align with what trans people are saying. It's the same when transphobes are like, yeah, men aren't women. A man in a dress is not a woman. It's like, yes, that is correct. That is actually also what trans people are saying. Because it's not about your appearance. It's not about your gender expression. It's not about what you're doing. It's who you are inside. Inside our gender identity and so on is that of a woman. And you fixating on like our shoulders or saying that like our voice is so masculine and so on, using these artificial or like these superficial things, the appearance and so on, as like a tool in order to invalidate who we are inside doesn't actually work. Because I'm not going to suddenly look into the mirror and be like, yeah, actually my eyes are male, so actually I should just like give up and just stop the delusion of saying that I'm a woman. Because like I am who I am. I've always been this way. I've always had this gender identity. All of like the external influences and so on that like are telling me that I am a man and so on doesn't actually work because it doesn't align with who I am inside. You cannot change this. You cannot change my gender identity. It doesn't matter how often you abuse me. It doesn't matter how often you dogpile on me. It doesn't matter what you are using as a justification to say that I'm actually male. It doesn't matter what chromosomes I have. It doesn't matter that I don't have a womb and so on. It's like, sure, but that isn't what we are saying. We are not saying that in order for me to be a woman is so I have like periods now or whatnot. It's so frustrating because they are using logical fallacies. They're constantly using like straw man arguments and so on in order to push and like hijack the conversation about something that no trans person is actually arguing.
And so anyway, people know this. So the difference is that just because you say that you're a gender, it doesn't make you that gender. I think everybody is fine to be polite in a certain area. And, you know, like if you want to dress and get surgery, most people are polite enough to acknowledge you as the other gender just to be nice, right? But the reality is that I think everybody recognizes is that you can't change your gender.
I mean, the thing is like fundamentally, trans people are not changing their gender. We are affirming our gender. We are doing certain things in order to affirm our identities. Trans people are incredibly aware of their own bodies. We are aware of how we are born as. We are aware of all of these things. But the thing is like, if you are quote unquote assigned male and then you start taking estrogen and so on, you're going through changes that align more with the bodies of somebody who is assigned female. And that can make us more comfortable. That can help us be perceived in society how we actually were always supposed to be perceived as. Like trans women have always been women, and going through the wrong puberty and so on like that causes stress. That is body horror. It's very detrimental for our health. Therapy or like embracing our birth, sex and so on, like it doesn't work because that's just us trying to pretend to be something that we are not. And a woman is not going to be suddenly turned into a man just because society insists that they are actually a man. And transphobes just try to hijack the conversation, refuse to understand this, and then say that like, no, you are pretending to be something that you're not. While they are the ones assigning a gender onto us. They are projecting something onto us. They are abusing us. They are doing like the social conversion therapy. They are pushing this, and then they are trying to like use pseudo-intellectual talking points in order to push this ideology further and further. When it doesn't align with reality, it doesn't align with who we are, it doesn't align with like the facts, it doesn't align with research and so on. But because they are in a position of power where we have to justify our existence, where we have to fight for our care, during a time where our care is being demonized and taken away, is so fucking, it's just cruel.
It doesn't matter how many pills you take. It doesn't matter how much medicine you have. It doesn't matter how many surgeries you get. It doesn't matter what filters you use. You cannot change your gender. You cannot change your sex. You cannot change your chromosomes. You cannot change your biology.
That is just not true. Yes, you can't change your chromosomes, but like your chromosomes are multiple blueprints. If you get on HRT as a trans person, your biology will change. Your body will change. You will manifest certain changes that actually help you be more comfortable with yourself and also like be perceived a certain way. It gives you certain risks, and also like how medication works with you, because like a lot of the things that we say are affected by, you know, your sex and so on, is actually more affected by your dominant hormones. You know, the video I did with Doc Vivi, the segment where Doc Vivi, who is a real-life biologist, talking about sex and why trans women are, you know, female. It's not because suddenly our gametes changed. That's not what it's about. Sex is more than just your reproductive organs. And that is something that like these anti-intellectual pseudo-scientists, pseudo-common sense warriors are pushing in order to discredit what we are saying, what actual scientists are saying. what the conversation is about. Nobody is saying that a trans woman going on HRT can suddenly get pregnant and has like a womb and so on, right? Nobody is saying that. It's more about like, you know, how you're feeling, how your body changes due to estrogen and so on. Like that's what it's about. And that is an actual biological change that happens due to the nature of your endocrine system. Because if you have more estrogen in your body is just not going to question it, and it's just going to go, okay, we're doing girl now. And transphobes know this. Transphobes know that they cannot tell if a trans girl doesn't go through male puberty, and these changes through male puberty, through like testosterone, do not manifest, and instead you go through female puberty due to estrogen, your body will change in certain ways and actually look, you know, very similar to that of cis girls. That's just how it works. And transphobes know that. This is why they hyperfixate on trans women who didn't have access to like HRT, who went through irreversible changes caused by testosterone, and they will hyperfixate on that in order to push the idea that they are just men in dresses now. And I'm so fucking tired of it, because what trans people are saying is just factually correct. What we have always been saying is just based in reality. But then losers like this come along, sitting in front of like 30,000 people, being like, oh no, actually, this is not gender affirming care, because actually you are pretending to be a different gender. And I am very smart and I have 7 roaches on me right now. I'm so tired of it. I'm tired of people like this coming along, talking about our healthcare and pushing these lies. Because I believed before transitioning that I'm going to start HRT and it's not going to look good enough because I started too late. Testosterone fucked up so many things with my body. All of like these irreversible changes I will never pass, it doesn't matter. And then I started HRT. And it took a while because puberty just takes a while. And now I get gendered correctly. And I'm not even the most feminine looking person out there. I'm still 6 feet. I still have broad shoulders. I still have a masculine hairline. And so on, right? Like all of like these irreversible changes, my vocal cords, the size of my larynx increasing because of testosterone, because that's how testosterone works. If I didn't go through testosterone, this wouldn't have manifested. Gender affirming care works. Trans healthcare works. That is why transphobes go after it so much, because they don't want to allow trans people to actually break the sex roles, the reproductive roles, because everything, this like bioessentialism and so on, this patriarchal nonsense is going to fall apart once people realize that a lot of like changes, like upper body strength and grip strength and so on, is not caused by you being male, and being female is like inferior to that. It's caused by testosterone. It's also not going to be guaranteed to happen. But like most things that happen during puberty is literally just caused by your hormones. And if you suppress testosterone and go on estrogen, it doesn't matter if you're born male or female, you will see changes that are aligned more with somebody who is born female. It's just how it works. That's how it's always worked. And people like this, like Asmongold and whatnot, they always come along and they're like, oh no, that's actually not true. It's just a secret third thing. Because if they actually honestly engage with what we are saying, their mental gymnastics are not going to be able to keep up with their delusions.
And people get upset about that. You might get mad. Well, listen, whenever you die, take it up with God. I didn't make the rules. This is just the way that we're programmed, and that's the way it is. Reality can't be changed.
That's literally just like, you know, patriarchal nonsense to be like, oh, you are born a certain way. This is what you have to be like. This is your fate. This is sealed. This is your natural role. When it's literally just a construct. The patriarchy is just a construct. It's not natural. This literally goes against reality.
Like if there was a way, like let's say there was a way that you could push a button and completely change your gender, I would let people push that button. I think it's completely acceptable for people to do that.
The button exists, and it's called HRT. It's called trans healthcare. The button exists. It's not instant. It's not perfect, but it does exist. We are just not advanced enough to fully change everything.
But I think that we should also acknowledge that taking hormones and getting surgery doesn't change your gender.
Your gender is not the same as your sex. That's also like, you know, completely hijacking the conversation, making it about something that it's not.
It's the same as if you get surgery and you take hormones to change your race, it doesn't make you.
Oh my god. The fact that they are still pushing like the race thing in like big 2026 is slow. It's wild to me.
And why is that? Because there are a tremendous amount of formative experiences that everybody has, and that like your race and your gender and everything are all part of it.
Now he's pushing like the turf ideology of like, oh, you have male socialization. Oh, trans women are not women because we are male socialized. We're not female socialized and so on. Like that's turf rhetoric. That's UK turf rhetoric, by the way. Just so you know, it's just complete bullshit. It's just made up in order to invalidate trans people and also make it about like how the patriarchy is natural and so on, right? Like that's just like what this is about. Don't get fooled by this nonsense.
And so you can't just go and undo that. You can only press it twice. Yeah, right, exactly. And keep it away from kids. So this is
Of course, he has to like put this in here.
the difference between obviously gender affirming care for a person who is that gender versus not, is that, and it's not gender affirming, it's gender reaffirming.
Sweetie, it's not the thing that you're saying. It's the exact same thing, but I'm using a different word in order to say that you're wrong. Also, trans people are the gender that we are saying. I'm repeating myself, but like, you know, just so you know.
You understand? Because like because you're not, if you get breast implants, it doesn't make you a woman.
Yeah, having boobs doesn't make you a woman. Nobody is saying otherwise except for transphobes who are insisting that a trans man is actually a woman because of their boobs.
There are plenty of dudes with bigger tits than most women. That doesn't mean that they're women.
That's what I mean. Like, they're always like so close, but then they're completely hijacking the conversation in order to make it about something else. It's so frustrating.
There's this entire ideology is total hot air. Like it is. Like nothing about this makes sense.
Because you need to do mental gymnastics in order to justify how I am wrong, despite actually, you know, you saying the same shit that I do.
Completely illogical. There's no reasoning to it.
You also know what they are doing, right? By saying that like trans people are delusional and trans people, you know, the ideology and whatnot is all like incorrect and so on. It's like it's anti-intellectualism, and it's making his hive mind, his echo chamber, not critically engaged with the things that I'm saying because, you know, why would they? Their idol is saying that like it's illogical and like, you know, it's just like nonsense and these people are demons and they're coming for your children either, you know, like it's just no reason to like actually like engage with this. Don't listen to what they are saying. Don't listen to like how they are actually like arguing and so on, because like, you know, they are just woke nonsense and so on. Like it's anti-intellectualism. It's in order to end the debate. It's a very dishonest debate tactic that like transphobes and like, you know, right-wingers in general have been using for centuries.
And again, like I respect people's pronouns. I try to be a polite, reasonable, nice guy.
This guy told me that the trans community attaches itself to the LGBT community like a parasite and we are doing AoE damage. And he told me that like, you know, I'm going to get gay marriage revoked because I am, you know, calling out his nonsense. But hey, bro uses pronouns and said that I'm not a man, so actually he is a very woke. He also said he feels tremendous empathy for trans people and said that if he had a trans child, he would support them. It's just in order to make himself seem more reasonable and make himself seem more like he is unbiased. When in reality, it's just like a fascist right-winger who wants to create a hostile and toxic environment for anybody who like calls him out. And he is using gaming and like talks like this in order to help people fall down a right-wing pipeline and radicalize them because he desperately wants to say slurs in video games.
But the moment that you start trying to, you know, make apples to oranges comparisons and you try to, you know, start rationalizing this stuff,
it's an apples versus apples situation because trans men, cis men, both still men, doing certain things in order to affirm their identity as men. We're not pretending to be a different gender. We're not suddenly becoming somebody. We are only pretending to be a different gender when, you know, we are in the closet, when we are hiding who we are, when we are masking. And that kills us. That destroys us. Pretending to be someone that you're not is so detrimental for your mental health. This is why despite all of the pushback, despite all of like the abuse, despite everything, despite how hard it is to exist as a trans person, so many of us still come out.